and services, and later even real money. So we have the whole environment on that, and for us it's a way to contribute to that challenging element of the plastic pollution by education, because we have also some element where we have a link to a community, so we create a community and have link on chat and social medias and so on. The application is gamified, so you have also challenging things. You can compete against each other by collecting bottles. So we want to turn that gesture that some people do, some people don't do, but at least when you do, it becomes fun and cool to do it. And then by then get that kind of engagement and people keep on doing that. And some people also like to be rewarded, so that's why we also provide. So that is the whole thing.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so basically what's your revenue model then? Like how do you earn
money? Yes, it's a very good question. The application will be directed to users, you, me, everybody. That is free for the user, completely free. The revenue will come from partners, and thanks to the gamification aspect. It means that in the application you will be able to create eco-missions, what we call eco-missions, that are challenges. So let's say I'm Coca-Cola, I want to sponsor an eco-mission, I will pay for that eco-mission plus a membership. And the eco-mission, for instance, I will say Coca-Cola will reward the best collector of Dubai for the month of January. Okay, and then you give visibility to the brand owner, because as a user you will see, it's cool, Coca-Cola is pushing for collecting plastic bottle, and for the brand owner it's also a way to show that they do something, but we record everything through the blockchain, so we can also quantify. So through the commission, say, me as brand owner, I stimulated the collection of so many bottles and so on. So we have membership and a subscription and the commission. That has the two main revenue stream for the application. After I mentioned that we have a platform. So the platform is used the same reward engine, blockchain-driven engine, but we can apply other applications. So let's say you have an idea and you want to reward your customer. Let's say in Dubai, when I arrive, I don't know where to put my used batteries. Now Spines does it, but tomorrow you say, I've got a great idea, I want to set up an application that will reward people for bringing the batteries at the right place, because we don't want that to end in the wrong place, in the landfill or in nature and so on. So okay, you make your application, the front end, the back end, and then we connect your application to our reward engine, and you use the same token system. We can even use the same reward system, and the user then has a multiple experience, because he can go to the battery application, register, but as soon as registered, he has a unique wallet that will be useful for all the application. And then after we say, hey, since you collect batteries and you like it, why don't you collect bottles? Because you can also have more reward. And then that is the platform. So, and that, there we have also a membership and a subscription, monthly subscription for the application that will use our platform. So that is the second element. And we say come a bit later compared to the Zeeloop. Zeeloop we do our beta version. We will start in April in UAE. After is the discussion with partners, because often I got also those kind of discussion, brand owners and so on. Are you considering an app? Well, I can take care of that part, and that is the second revenue stream. So we have a possibility to go faster on the market, because the Zeeloop is all the effort is ours. Another application, the battery application, I'm not going to do the work. I do the base work, but they do the front end, determine the market and so on, and maybe someone is more specialized on the battery topics and so on, so they take care of that idea. So it's also diversified the revenue streams.
That's good. So how do you see the challenges in this? Like for example, it's not easy to go out and market it into the people. So
Yeah.
how do you overcome that, like that barrier?
The challenge is truly it's more where it's free than where you have the revenue. But it's all connected, and you heard this morning also some of the panelists, we talk about traction. Traction is the key word on every business because it simplifies the way for also investors to decide whether they want to be in and so on, but it also simplifies people for whether they want to use it and so on. So sometimes it's chicken and egg because you have to start, and then when you start you are at zero for anything, and then you have so how to get that traction. The challenge is the traction with user, getting them on the application. There's most of you have an application in the pipe, but you are not alone. Okay, there's a lot of application, and so you have to get a vision. So people say yes, I go to the app, but not only because I like the product itself, but also I like the idea behind. If you can sell a vision more than the product, you have more acquisition than if you try to push your product and say, try my product, is good. So that's where we try also go on the community, growing a community of people who are early adopter, but also that are sensitive to the environment challenges and so on. So that community will do somehow the job of promoting ambassadorship. But that is the challenge. Get acquisition. After we will face some technical challenges, of course, but technical challenges, there are always solutions. It's a matter of time, it's a matter of money. After you have to be reactive, because especially on an application, if you have a problem, you have to fix it very fast. Because the user experience, so it's also a user experience. If you go in the app, first time you're curious, you go and it's painful, and then when it doesn't work, you don't know, nobody will answer to you, and I'm sure you all had that experience. That sometimes it's so frustrating. You say, I've personally done some application that I liked, but I'd say, hey, something's wrong, and nobody replied. Then, but if someone replied to me and said, look, sorry, I've got that problem, but I'm going to fix it, and you sure? Then the people stay also. So it's a matter of customer service then. That is but the challenge is acquisition, I would say. After once you have a lot of people, it's easier to convince partners, it's easier to get money, it's easier to fund, everything becomes easier. So that is the key priority for us.
So if you put a light on 24 years back, how did you start off and convince the crowd about your vision and idea? What was the process like?
Well, I think 24 years ago I was very far from knowing that idea.
So what was the key start point?
I think I always had, we had that discussion, is entrepreneurship, doing your own company. I mean, a lot of people would like to do, and I was always keen to do it. After there is 2 moments in life where it's easier. I mean, just after or during your university, like you do, it's an easier time because you have no commitment yet in terms of income and so on. You don't have the family, the child to feed, or you don't have an income yet that you don't trade a good income versus once you are engaged in the path of employment and so on as an employee, you get a salary and you get also bonds and so on, and then you're not going to say turn to your family and say, hey, by the way, I got a super idea. And guess what? You're going to eat potatoes for the next 2 years because
Starve.
Our rhythm our cost of living has to drop down like we were students a long time ago. So when you are at the beginning, that is easy for that aspect. However, it's more challenging because obviously you have less experience. Okay,
Yes.
so and then the other way is you wait that you have the experience, and you wait that you have the good idea. So I had a comfortable living and I got a nice career and so on. Some ideas, but not worth to jump on that.
Yeah.
Then that idea was there. Then I worked it a bit, and I was also business angel of a startup. So that's how I knew my partner, because I could advise them and invested in that startup and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a moment where we say, hey, with what you know in terms of reward and what I detect as a business need, as a problem and so on, if you combine that need and some of the solution, first the go-to-market can be fast.
Yeah.
and I've got the experience, and I've got the network, and so on, and they have the experience on some other part, and they have the network for another part. So the combination then makes sense, and then you can switch. So it's decided when you do. You know? And the bottom line, after, I would say the best moment is where you really have a good idea. You know, it has to be a good idea. So that there is traction, and that, like some people said this morning, traction will help you to measure that. If everybody has interest and so on. If everybody you talk about your business idea and people will say, wow, that's good. It solved you're right. It solved one problem that nobody does, and so on. Yeah, go for it. If it's if it's just I want to create something because my purpose is just for the sake of being an entrepreneur because I like that way, but the idea is not there. I don't think it's deliverable. You start from the idea, and then whether you have the willingness to do it, to turn into a business, and the energy and you believe you can do it, or so on, and you feel strong enough to do it, because a lot of people said this morning, it's not also the easiest path. You have the up and downs. I don't think you should have fear or have fear and so on, but you need motivation and so on. But sometimes you say, I am doing you have to always arbitrate. Do I do the right things to go as fast as possible to go to market? And that fast to go to market, whether it's for a startup or for a normal business that is already established business that has a new product, you spend time to develop your product. Once you are ready to market it, it has to be fast, because you can't protect everything. It's possible sometimes to have IPs and so on. It's advisable to have, if you can have an IP, it's advisable also, because it's something that helps for collecting funds and so on if you need money to support you. And eventually you will have money sooner or later. Otherwise it's a choice, I go that way or I go that way. And that way, there's a moment where you have to get acceleration. Acceleration is money. So IP is an ideal thing to have. Gives you a bit of protection, but even if you have an IP, there's always often ways to go around. It's very difficult to have nowadays an IP that is super strong, or you have the unique idea that it's very easy to block it. Like Amazon, they had a patent on one click. So I don't remember exactly what they do around that, but that was a patent that was very strong because it's super simple. So nobody really can go around after. And after, when you're single, to defend your patent is the challenge. In my career, you are in a big company, you do 1.5 billion euro turnover per year, and you still struggle to defend your patent. Because people wait or they ignore the patent, and at the end they just pay compensation, but the damage on the business is already so. But it's interesting to consider, at least for, even if you exclude the fact that you will protect yourself, but you can first mind the place. So people say, I have to look if I have to. So it gives you a bit of time to market where you are more in peace, and it's also very good for investors. A lot of angels and so on. I've seen some places, in some conference and so on, with pitching and so on. 50% of the case, investor, the panelists will ask, do you have IP? Which is legitimate. If I'm as an investor want to put my money on something, I prefer to put in place where nobody can copy. Because when you're small, if you have a good idea, there are bigger sharks around that can go much faster than you if it's a super idea. So the best protection also is also quickly to be endorsed by a bigger, as a partnership or just but then they do with that protection for you. So
it's not the having a business mind, it's more about the idea. Is it like that, if I had to summarize it? Do you have to have a business mind?
Both. I will not weight both, because you have the right business mind. Well, if you have the right business mind, you can do some experience we heard this morning, and you see also is people that do plenty try, fail,
Yeah.
and maybe the 20th, and you see some success stories where the guys have done, they have failed for 20 businesses and then finally they get one. Or the example this morning, a guy had a lot of ideas, but without investing all his time and money on that first idea, he just tried the idea. No answer. Okay, try another one. Nothing. And suddenly, bam, there is a reaction that is never seen on the previous thing. Say, here I've got something. And I've heard that story also on some other experiences. So it works also. So you try, and then you arrive to a point that you have a validated good idea. All right. So if you just have the mindset, yes, you could have a mindset and try. If you have a very good idea from start point, but after, if you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to work also, because you will not be able to materialize that idea into something operational that can be sold, that can be, and so on. So to me, you have to do both. Or if you don't have, because you can have a very good idea, but you have to know yourself.
Yes.
If you say, okay, and that is the thing versus also starting early or late. You don't know yet what are your strengths and your well, you know some of your strengths, but you don't suspect all of them. At my age, when I switched, I know already where are my strengths and where are my weaknesses. That is, the mapping is done, I know. But in both cases, you have to not to try to do everything by yourself. You can't be expert on everything. You will never be expert on everything. So you have to clearly identify, okay, that is where I'm super good, that is where I need someone. And that's why we talk about team. A team is just a bunch of friends. Is a team that, yes, they work well together. You can say truths when it doesn't go right. You can tell your partner you have to do something, and it doesn't get upset and doesn't talk to you for 2 weeks. They say, okay, I take it and I correct. So that is important. Be able to be transparent and share and so on. A trustful partner is very difficult. But that is the close team. And have clear definition of who does what. You know, I'm good on that. My partners, they are much younger than me. They are ex-Apple. They are an average of 26 years old. But on blockchain, they have 10 years of experience, which is the maximum you can have on blockchain. Blockchain is 10 years.
Wow.
Okay? So they are experts. So when I say, what do you think? I'm the one driving. I'm the founder. I've created the idea and so on. I worked the white paper. I worked everything. But on technical part, when I say, Eric, should we do that and that? I say, look, you are the expert. You tell me what the pros and cons on both sides, then we decide if you want my point of view. But otherwise, I trust you, you do that part. Because I know it's not my part. It's full stop, you know. There are things where I'm good, there are things that are good. But what is important is that the sum of our strengths becomes as complete as possible to get the full scope. Because when you sell a market, you need good communication, good sales, good customer service, good product development, good management for organizing yourself and so on. So that's all that. So, and the more you grow, that's the challenge. And then at one stage, you can also be in a situation where you say, now it's time for me to step back and leave someone that can drive to the next level. So you are successful, and we all wish to be successful and so on. There's moment where you can say, oh, well, for the sake of better growth of my company, it's time for me to step back, because now the scale of my company requires a set of skills that I don't have myself. You know, like I've seen that in company I've joined, maybe that grew by absorption and so on. The shareholder at the beginning were very good at managing one company and bought other companies, so it became a group of companies, different management. Then they had to step out. They sold the shares, they get a new CEO, different stories and so on. But there was a point where they were very good at bringing the company to a certain level, and suddenly not becoming good enough for the next steps. So after, from the startup, there is elements like that where it's not, you don't have to wait that stage where you say, not by stepping out, but you say, okay, now I need someone that will take care of that part that I can trust, while I focus on where I'm good for the company.
Wow, that's an amazing insight.
Mm.
Amazing. Learned a lot. Do you guys have any questions?
I guess no, actually.
Well, I wanted to ask one thing. So you mentioned that how Zeeloop has rewards.
Mhm.
So who is the one providing these rewards? Like, are you the one enduring the costs for it, or is it the partner?
Both. So that is, it goes a bit of technique on the application, but we are creating our own currency. Okay, or the token is called a utility token. So we creating that from scratch.
Okay.
So we start from an affordable cost. So the token we deliver have a cost at the creation that is self-funding, but after the use of the token by the user and the exchange and so on, we're going to list it. So it will be available like on the stock exchange. There are places where you can exchange tokens and so on. So the fact that people are using it and exchange it, then you start to have also an offer and demand system that automatically will create a certain value based on the offer and demand. And there's all the point of making things that works. If there's no traction and so on, it doesn't create value. But if you reach that point where you have that leverage, then you have also people who are not interested in the use of the token within the application, within the ecosystem, but they just say, oh well, a lot of people are using it, so I'm going to invest in it because it can raise money, it can grow in value. So there you start to get your value, and then it's done, because you start to deliver something that is going to get more value, that much more than what the cost of creation. Second element we do also is that on the revenue, we will use part of the revenue as a backup of the token. So there's gradually you start to have it can't go to zero. It will go to the valuation that is behind as a backup. So that is where you create that value, but that is differential. So that is the first element as providing a reward, affordable reward. It's complex, it's things that you need to do and so on. It's a lot of work, but it works. The second element is the partners. The partners, when I do a commission, I take again the example of Coca-Cola, easy one. The commission we will give as a reward different things. It can be more tokens, just then you collect the bottle. For every single bottle you bring, you get 100 tokens, or sometimes more. You can say, okay, the best collector for the week, for the example we take, will get 1,000 tokens, so 10,000 tokens as the first reward. But you can also either or get a voucher from Coca-Cola, or a pack of 6-pack of Coca-Cola to be collected and so on. So that is also, so we can mix the virtual file and the dematerialized reward and goods and services. So that's how you get it. And those goods and services can be given by the sponsor or given by the partners. After there's other things where we could bring ourselves some rewards, just especially on the commission. You can, you play games and so on, or lottery. You have a lot of people who lose money on playing on the lottery because they are not winning, but someone will win. You go at the Dubai airport, you can buy a supercar, and I don't know, I never played, but I think the ticket is like 500 dirham. So there's a lot of people who lose 500 dirham, but one guy gets one car. So if you calculate how much they collected with 500 dirham per ticket versus the cost of the car, there was a super reward, but it didn't cost them more than what they earn. So it's a matter of that, attraction. It has to be attractive. So you disconnect the value of the reward with the cost of the reward and so on. So there's different mechanisms that we will play and we are playing on.
Anyone has any other questions?
Is there any message that you want to give to all of us as a startup?
Well, I think it's you have to be confident on yourself. That is important because you will have moment on doubt. So you have to be confident you are on the right idea. You mustn't hesitate also to adjust your first idea.
Yeah.
Don't be stubborn neither. Either because, like someone said this morning,
Don't marry your idea.
If there's a point you say no, okay, I go nowhere. Let's move on to something else. You have learned experience. Anyway, what you do, you learn experience, and that is super important. But don't doubt. If it's really you have the proof that the idea has tractions and so on, believe in it then, and just adjust. Listen to say, okay, that objection. Listen objection. Write always your objections when you try to pitch, when you will go for money, when you will go to sell your product to partners. List your objections, because the more you list your objection, then you can have a frequent asked question or frequent objection, and then you start to have your answers. And then sometimes you say, wow, I've got a wide range of objection always on that point. So it's a clear point that I have to address to convince people. If you don't address that, you will face that question all the time. Yeah, I've got one question every time, but I had it enough. Well, actually, I had answers from the day one, but the more people are very imaginative on that, so every time he comes with a different, he gives me ideas to say, let's do some firewall on that one first as the application. The question is on cheating. Yeah. People say, how do you measure that? How do they? What about the teacher? I've got plenty of answers, we will not develop here. But that objection, I will come almost nearly, I would say not almost, 100% of the case. Every time people, and very fast on when I explain the product, very fast say, people say, which for us is not a concern. We know how to take care. That's it, it's not a problem. But that comes all the time. And so it's important to map that and to be ready for objections. Either to adapt your product or to have the right answer to kill. Because when you kill an objection with something that is meaningful, you are very convincing also.
So, what do you see as in future if you are up to for other collaborations with other companies? Are you open to that, or you think it's going to be like a solo game for you?
I think in business you have to be pragmatic. So if it's good for your business, you do it. So if it's going to be good for the loop, and I believe it's going to be good for the loop, I will go. Simple as that. Life, you never know how long your life is going to be. So every day you have to do things. And go. You have to get your roadmap, and you try to be on track with your roadmap. But if you have opportunities that accelerate that, you take it. So if I've got an opportunity that accelerates, I take it. For example, I've got a person that I say, I got pilot in UAE, and then after I've got some key countries where the collection is low and where there's regulation that also will require that we do things. So there's a good market environment. So France, UK, US later, but maybe even earlier because someone has started to work on that. So I meet a guy that is very interesting for India. I never thought about India. Yeah, it's a huge market, but I don't know the market. If the guy comes with, if we develop and then eventually say, well, I want to take care. If it's good for the business, why I will wait that I'm ready in 10 years' time if I can do it now? If someone can do it for me, and I just get a bit of revenue stream as a percentage and so on. I've got a franchise model, so we can add things. So it's if you have to be pragmatic. Say, is it good for my business? I do. If not, I don't. This morning was that the question about equity. It's absolutely true. When you start, you need for money, so you are sometimes ready to jump on the first. To say, at last I've got money. Now, it has to be a good contributor. After there are mechanisms to evaluate, like actually, and someone said that this morning, you have to set the rules of the money collected. You say, I want that, I'm going to give X%.
Mm-hmm.
Never more than 20% when you start. I've got some friend that started. He said, my regret is that I gave too much percentage for cheap, you know. And now his idea is really turning something bigger and say, wow, I gave 40% of my business for peanuts. You know, like you could now add a zero behind the next percentage. So, but there's standards, so you do a bit of valuation. You say, see that I want to collect so much money, and I give so much percentage. If people are not interested, maybe you will lose some opportunity, maybe, but you may also get some people that come on board. At least they follow your rules. Okay, and no, marry with the devil is not a good solution if it's you pay later. So that is fixed. Be cautious on that. Decide what you want. You will need sooner or later. You will need to. It's a different way of opening. Opening your business to or opening your capital to is the same thing. But sooner or later you need the money to accelerate, and that you try to get for the best for your company.
About the blockchain, you were saying you had an experience. If you see that trend in UAE right now is all about trying to be inclusive of blockchain to the business idea.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard all of our pitches. If any one of us had to go for it, what was the main aspect that would make it connected?
Yes, there's a bit of buzzword on blockchain. Here it's even amplified because the government has decided to put its administration on blockchain.
Yeah.
And why they do that? For the core functionality of blockchain. It's really it's classified as the fourth industrial revolution because it's very secure. It provides full traceability. Is immutable, so the information that is stored can't be compromised later. So you have very qualitative data. That's about the three main things I will classify on: traceability, trustful, immutable, and so on.
It's more towards the database of the company.
Yes, and it's the fact that the information, the ownership, and that was the last point, is the ownership of the information is not anymore in a centralized server. It's exactly the point of blockchain. Blockchain is a decentralized register of transaction. So when you pay with your Visa, all the data, they are data, and they all converge to the same server. They decide the rules. They decide what you do, and you have no access to that. On the blockchain, a transaction you can check when we're going to start to deliver tokens to consumer. For every bottle, there's just a software. You can use internal scan. You use the token reference, and you are able to see if I truly send. If I say I have 100,000 users and they have collected 10 million bottles, which correspond to X token, you will see if I produce that amount of token.
Or not.
And that is, I can't fake it. So that is really trustful. So that interest. After it should not be used because it's a buzz. If you have an issue about traceability and so on, that's interesting. It's why the government here want to do it is they want to, for instance, all the paperwork you do today. You want to rent a flat, you have to get this document, this, and you have to go to the administration and so on. Today, everything is on blockchain. You get that automatically. It's uncompromised, so you can't fake wrong DWAT on HRE. You can't make a wrong HRE or tenant certificate, so on. You click, your documents are associated to your ID and so on. So it's in one. It takes time, but that's the objective. And obviously, save after on. Dubai, I've checked some figures from one of my studies. It's basically the population of Dubai has doubled every 10 years since 1960. It's really every 10 years you double.
Yeah.
This is a lot. Huh? And today, 3 million, double, it means that in 10 years, Dubai has acquired 1.5 million extra inhabitants. It's a huge challenge for the infrastructure, for the people that take care of that and so on. So if you have to, it's a new scale, then you have to get a new methodology. The blockchain then can bring that new methodology where you can cope with 1.5 million more inhabitants without needing to recruit twice more employees just to take care of that challenge,
Wow.
which has a cost.
Makes
So
sense.
that's it. So yeah, it's for us is the traceability and the fact that all the data are trustful. Because you can imagine the brand owners when I will say you have collected so many bottles thanks to the application on your name in your commission, nobody can contest it. So that has the value. And value breaks money, isn't it?
Yeah. Do
But you can't
use
put
it?
blockchain on anything.
Yeah.
No, you can't put blockchain on anything. But traceability is really interesting. So if you have a traceability element, it's something. For us, also it has that element that it gives a possibility to create a reward where it makes an affordable reward because there is a mechanic, an economic mechanic that is a bit different.
All right, Eric. Thank you for
Thank
all
you very
your
much.
wonderful
My pleasure.
insights, and thank you for being here. And we wish you good luck on behalf of Amity University Dubai.
Thank you, and good luck for you. You have on a great path. I've seen some great progress this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Excellent.
much
Good.
for your
Good,
insights.
and good preach also. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. I think we should just call the person who switched us off.
Yeah, you will cut after, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah,
I know, it's on live, so we can't cut.
Okay, try to see you guys getting the person. Yeah. Is this the first idea that you have taken action for?
Yeah,
It's the first idea. How long ago did you start?
last year?
Oh, for how many?
Last year? August?
You started? We just
So I will just press the red button, I will imagine.
I don't know what it was.
Should we?
Maybe it's called Shazam.
Maybe she's not there.
Yeah, just call her.
I don't know.
We're online. So are you having a pilot project in Dubai or you already started it?
Now the pilot will start mid of April. I'm
Yeah,
still, the reward engine is, or made this development, it took about 1.5 years to make it. But that was done for the startup where I invested. So that was, you just have to adapt with new contracts, new rules and so on. But that is already tested and working. Now the design application is done, and I've got engineers that are programming the front end and the back end and so on, and it should be delivered every week. I've got a new evolution. So by mid of April we will use it, and you can even join.
How do we join? Is
well,
there a location that you're gonna?
No, actually everybody can use the phone because it's
Okay.
on the phone.
Okay.
I will still on, but I will switch on the mic. But so you will be able to join because anyway we will have 2 ways to acquire token. So that is the Zeeloop application. Okay. So you can find a website and so on. I will give you a business card so you can share. Still a bit slow, my phone is. No, it's not slow. I'm not connected. So I switch it off. So while I'm connecting, you will have two ways to start. Let's go. LTE is in UAE you can go to point of collection. So the application will show you where you have points of collection, where you can drop your bottle. So that is the first thing. Still a bit slow, but that's my phone because I tested on my phone. It's not that. And I think it's also because it's not fully connected.
So So why did you choose Dubai as like for your pilot testing? Like why didn't you go
Because
to
I'm here in Dubai.
you live in
No, I live in Dubai first. I was
Okay.
in my previous company. I was based in Dubai,
Okay.
and it's actually Dubai is quite convenient to start a company in less than it takes time to connect. In less than 3 days, the company was registered. So it's good. If it's successful, the environment is quite flexible. I mean, in some countries you have obligation for producing reports, you have costs. I mean, if you're in France, you have a company, whether you make money or you don't make money, you pay money. So it can be challenging. So the running cost is higher for that. What is taking time? Should not take that time. And so that's the reason. The second reason is an operational reason. Dubai first, the collection rate is 20%.
Okay.
So very low. There's a lot of the ecosystem is starting to think about it at last. So there is a demand. The advantage also, it's an international city. You have lot of expats. You have a lot of companies that have the headquarters and so on. So you can reach a lot of people that have influence not only in Dubai but beyond Dubai. I was the sales VP for Africa, Middle East, and Asia. So to connect is very good enough. Half an hour drive max, you reach anybody. The cost to market and so on, it's also low. When I would have to start France, I would find someone, but then you have to get people in Paris, then in there and there and there. So the go-to market is more expensive also. So Dubai is nice, is a good pilot, the environment is ready and so on. So it was one of the reasons. So you see that is a couple of points that I've registered at the moment, just for example and so on. And you will be able to create your own points. That will validate the points. But when you are a point of collection, you can just make a deposit. So what we ask you is to
Scan.
No, you don't scan. You write the numbers of bottles you have collected. You're dropping. You take a picture of those bottles and you upload, and that's it, and you submit. Then we do our own cuisine to determine that you have deposited the right numbers and so on. Okay, that way you get tokens from that. But there is another element. At the same time, you will be able to also earn tokens, and that is also designed for places where I don't do a pilot, but where we want also to acquire people by registering. Every day you can go to the app, you validate that you've been on the app, and then I will give you some tokens. If you invite friends, you will get also tokens for that. So you can grow the community and so on for us. So it's two way of participating,
Sounds exactly.
And because the more people we have, obviously the more you help us to grow and to get tractions and things. And go fast, because if you invite people, if you do one times 4 people